All right, great night to be at the end. You know, great college basketball game, and seems like all these games, you know, us and them have turned into, you know, just instant classics in a lot of ways, and two teams that play extremely hard and you know, have clear systems and identities of how they want to play, and you get in the game, and you know, it just ends up being a chess match. But you know, I thought our defense in that first half is what set the tone. And I think we had 18 deflections in the first half. We had 7 steals, and you know, that's what this team is learning. You know, we got off to an unbelievable start, and we talked about this. I don't need to be repetitive, but we held people to 64 points a game in the non-league. And I think going into last week, out of those 9 Division I wins, only 2 of them were not currently in the top 3 in their league. So it's not like we didn't play good teams, right? But we just defended, and that was our focus. That was our primary focus. And this team's gotten back to that. And sometimes you got to go through hard lessons to kind of figure that out. But our defense led the way tonight, and we knew they weren't going to quit. You know, we know the intensity that Bucky instills in that program, and the two teams are going to battle it all the way to the end, and always do. But I was really proud to see that, hey, let's get out and let's guard. And you know, a lot of different comments out there that focus on our offense. And you know, at the end of the day, this team wants to be known for its defense. And you know, maybe we do have a pretty offense, but we got a really good defense too. And I think that's one of those things where, you know, the more that our team takes pride in that, and the more that our team understands that this is what this team's got to be built on, then now the offense just comes. And our lead scorer went 0 for 7 from 3 tonight. You know, like, he played his hardest and he played his guts out, but it wasn't like he had some unbelievable offensive night tonight and we scored 72. And you know, I think that's what this team is learning through. I thought we had some unbelievable individual performances, you know, out of guys that you can see. Obviously, Cooper Bowser with a career high tonight, and but then Nick Anderson had a Furman high, and you know, it's one of those things that's been nice for him to kind of work through what everybody felt like was a slump, and he's not playing as well, and then all of a sudden, you know, Nick's back, and you know, played with tremendous confidence tonight, especially hitting some critical shots at critical moments. I thought Ben had a huge impact on the game, just you know, toughness plays, and coming up with loose balls and coming up with rebounds, and just being all over the place. Thought Davis gave us a big spark. You know, he had a career high in assists tonight. I thought he did a good job moving the ball. And you know, turnovers, you're always gonna want to turn over a little bit less. I thought in the first half we were good there. Second half not as clean, but it was good to see we had 19 assists and did a really good job there.
Coach, it seemed like in the second half, for a while there was like all or nothing. Like either they got turnover or Cooper Bowser knocked off the press. And I asked Cooper this as well, for being a young big guy. How hard is it for him to stay patient down there where he's supposed to be? And then, you know, it's not always a guarantee you're gonna make a layup or a dunk and go 8 for 8 from the floor. And I thought there at the end, especially on when he caught the Hail Mary from Davis and then hit the free throws, because big guys aren't a lot of times I hit free throws down there in clutch either.
Yeah, I mean, Coop had a great night, and you know, their press, you know, they push a lot of guys up on that press, and they really try to outnumber you and out leverage you in the backcourt, and a lot of times will bring 5 up to do it, and so, you know, if you can get behind it, then you're gonna have numbers. If they keep you in front of it, whether it's their regular pressure or whether it's jamming off offensive rebounds, they're gonna try to do what they can to keep you in the backcourt, and they're very aggressive with it. They're very good at it, but you gotta try to get behind it. And you know, I thought Coop down there obviously had a couple plays behind it, but also in the half court, we did a good job of really driving, and I know Ben got him for 2 lobs. I know Davis got him for a lob, and then yeah, he had some critical plays at critical moments. The 2 free throws, you know, the dunk behind the press when obviously, you know, things weren't going our way in that particular moment. But you know, he's growing up right in front of us, and he's a sophomore. You know, Ed's a freshman. There's not many teams in our league that are dependent on these young guys to be in big moments, and I really do think that that's going to pay off for us. And I think that we're doing a great job, our staff and our program of, you know, hey, we got some old players, there's no doubt, but we're also developing some really good young talent that I really feel like aligns with who we are, and I think they're gonna be really, really good fun players for years to come. And it's good to even see Ed get that experience tonight. You know, it might not have been, you know, what you think will be, you know, he just came off a 16-point game at Mercer. You're like, hey man, you know, he have quite the night tonight. But man, getting those reps, right, against that press and against that intensity and managing that and dealing with that, he's gonna learn a ton from that. And that's what this team has to continue to do.
After the Chattanooga and BMI games, you talked about the team offensively, they were thinking about their shots and that was affecting them on the defensive end. It seemed like tonight, every time that happened, there were several times where you got defensive stops and then answered on the other end eventually. But just talk about how, the confidence was different in that area tonight, because I thought on the defensive end, the energy stayed the same, especially in the first half.
Well, I mean, look, our first half defense was incredible, and it's what we're capable of. It's not like that's the first time we've seen that, like we've guarded like that at times during the year. It was good to see carryover from the intensity of the Mercer game and how we guarded tonight. I don't know if we were able to quite sustain it. I missed a sub rotation with PJ and Nick just because we were playing so well, and I got a little greedy, and I probably shouldn't have. I should have kept them getting their 2-minute blows, and we were good minutes wise except those 2 at halftime, and I thought that might hurt us in the second half. And we got off to that shaky start, and when they're turning you over in that press and then they're scoring, it ignites their whole deal. And so, their energy goes up, their bench energy goes up, everything goes up. When they start they're putting it off the board, they're hitting threes, and then all of a sudden they got you playing on your heels a little bit. And so when you can get stops, then you get stops, and they're gonna try to jam you, but you can run and you can get to good offense. But 19 assists for us tonight. I thought our first half cutting was incredible. I thought we did a great job of just playing concept to concept and not really getting super bogged down. And I thought our guys did a good job handling that for the most part. Second half, I thought at times of fatigue and we got a little bit sloppy. But look, this group has been composed for most of the year. It's been resilient for most of the year. How many times have we been at that 4-minute media? The game's basically a scratch, and we got to win that 10th war. And that's what we talked about tonight. It's a tie game, and 4 minutes to go. I looked at the board. We had 6 kills, and I said, "Look, this is pretty simple. You get that 7th kill, we're winning this game." And sure enough, we did. We got 3 stops in a row coming out of that, and did a really good job of really just putting our focus where our focus needed to be in those moments. And proud of our group for that.
You mentioned PJ over 7 for 3 tonight. He was 3 for 14. Their leading scorer was 3 for 13. He's coming off, I think, back games where he had 20 and 18. Obviously, they had talent up and down that roster, but how much of holding Brownell in check was a key, especially with some of the struggles you've had in the paint this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, they got a really good roster. Okay, I mean, Tulane transfer, Mississippi State transfer, Vanderbilt transfer, USC transfer. Like, look, they've got an old, experienced group that have played on high stages and high levels before. So it's really hard. And hey, that doesn't even talk about Ryland, right? Like, in Walls and some of their other players that are really giving them good minutes. You're not going to be able to just key in on a guy. That's not really easy to do. And to be honest with you, it's why Brownell, in my opinion, has played really well lately, because the attention has been on, whether it be on Holloway or whether it be on Ford or whether it be on Jones. And then he's been aggressive, but he hit 4 threes the last game, and he's been confident. He was huge in the Chattanooga game. He's a really good player, and he presents problems because he can score down on the block, and he can also step out and hit some threes. But you got to be aggressive, and it puts you in a little bit of a bind ball screen D. And we went over a lot of the attention to detail that we knew we had to be in on that ball screen D. And I thought a lot of the game we did a really good job of it. We had a couple breakdowns. We pulled in unnecessarily on the backside 3 that Walls got. We had a couple breakdowns, but for the most part, we did a pretty good job on that. And it's challenging. It's not easy because they got multiple guards coming off. They've got shooters spacing, and then they've got a pop threat, and then they bring in a roll threat, and then Brownell can score down there too. So, you don't have a lot of these options that you can play off of. So your on balls and your ball screen coverages and your eyes have to be extremely disciplined.
Just talk about the press, and I don't know if Davis Molnar, I don't know if that was an impromptu touchdown pass to Cooper there in the end zone, but just talk about how you're able to manage your team, and when a team is as aggressive as Stanford is, and to, whether they turn it over or not, to keep them kind of level-headed in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot of the deal, you know, I mean, they press you, and then they kind of get in your head mentally a little bit, and you gotta stay composed with it, and so, you know, for us, you know, I've always enjoyed competing against Bucky because, you know, he's a thinker, and he knows his system really well, so he's gonna watch you, and he's gonna figure out, like, what does he need to adjust to, and so, what you can't do is go in there with just one presso, right, because he's gonna figure out, he's done this system forever, so he's gonna figure out how to fit it, and what he wants to do, so you gotta change it up. And you know, we did a pretty good job of that, of having multiple press attacks on it. We were lazy on some routes, you know, they make you pay for that. They pull guys up, you know, like they're super aggressive with it, and you gotta be strong with the ball. And you know, I thought, like I said, I thought a couple times we just lost our focus, and in some of our routes, we didn't do a good job with it. But you also gotta give him credit there. I mean, Ryland's really good at just kind of seeing the route and figuring out where the ball's about to go, and he ran in front of that one and stole it, hit that corner three. But it's what gets them activated. And you know, you look at their big wins in the league, and they're getting, you know, 24 plus points on the turnovers. And you look at, you know, the loss that they had at ETSU, you know, the close game they had at Mercer, the close game they had with Chattanooga, points off turnovers was much lower. You know, I think it was maybe 13 or less. And so you got to be able to take care of the ball, and then you got to go run sound offense. And so, you know, it's always a challenge when they have that many athletes and that many bodies coming at you. But I thought there was a couple moments, you know, right there, right after halftime, and then kind of late in the game there, that we had to kind of regroup a little bit. And I thought our guys did a pretty good job of that. The late side play, good gracious, it felt like we couldn't get the ball off the side. And the hard part in those situations, you want to get it to a specific guy if you can, you know. And for us, it's, hey, let's see if we can get it to Nick or PJ. And we were trying to get a little curl chip there, and PJ, for whatever reason, didn't curl chip it. And we told Davis, going out of the timeout, we said, look, if we're going to turn it over, like, turn it over in the backcourt, and let's just go Hail Mary. And if we get to 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, let's just throw a jump ball, and let's let 7'5" wingspan go get it. And we had confidence in that just because he had just made those two critical free throws. So, you know, we weren't worried about him going up to the free throw line. And so, you know, look, it's Cooper to play that well tonight and make that play to go up and knock those free throws down. Obviously, it was a huge play in that moment.
Bob, you've mentioned composure a couple times. To have a double-digit lead in the second half, slip away, and your team still find a way to make enough winning basketball plays to pull away at the end, what does it say about this group's maturity?
Well, we discussed it today in film. You know, they the one game they lost in the league, ETSU did a great job with that. I thought ETSU was up 17-10 to start, and then you look up, and all of a sudden Sanford, I believe, was up 29-21. And I showed that to our team today, and I said, look, it's a good team. It's a good system. They're old. They only have 5th years. They got 6 years out here. You know, like they've been a lot of wars, and they've won a lot of games. So regardless of what the score says tonight, there's going to be a critical moment in the game tonight where you're going to have to respond. And because right there, right, like ETSU won the game, but Sanford went on a 19-4 run, erased a 7-point lead, and then took a 9-point lead, and then all of a sudden, right, they get that spurtability, and then you're in trouble. And ETSU kept their composure. They settled it before half. They got the game a little bit closer going into the tunnel. And, you know, Sanford's, they're too well coached, they're too old, and they're too talented to think that all of a sudden you're going to have this lead, and then everything's going to be fine. And you're going to have to play all through the 40. And we saw also, you know, that Chattanooga was up 16 and at Chattanooga, and Sanford came back and beat them. And with the way they play, if you ignite that press and you don't take care of the ball and then you lose your composure, you know, that's when they can get to you.
Coach, going through those tough losses at home and now beating the #1 team in the conference, can you just speak on the character of your team to turn the page like that?
I mean, I think, look, it's life, you know, like success is a great teacher. And for us, you know, if you look back on it, and I've told our team this a lot, like we were fighting, you know, we were fighting human nature a little bit. Like we're 12-1, only lost to Kansas, You know, it's not like you have for 2 months. It's not like you can go to practice and say, man, look at this. Like, we didn't play well, like we lost, and this is what we gotta get better at. Like, you're just trying every day to go out there and like, hey, keep getting better, but you don't have any. Sometimes what losing can do is it can create a stimulus of like, hey, a forced response. Like, we have to change. Well, November, 7-0, lose to Kansas, win 6 more, you know, start the league out with a 30-point win. And then all of a sudden, January 4th, boom, we take a tough loss. And I don't think we responded well enough at that initial, you know, like, cause we hadn't been through it. And in a lot of teams, you go through November, you lose a few. You go through December, you lose a few. And you grow, right, through force and through, let's just call it what it is. I mean, this stuff can be agony, you know, like, it's like, man, this stuff is hard. And, you know, I thought it took us a while to kind of figure that out. But I think leaving Lexington, it was kind of like, okay, you know what, like, we've been limping around a little bit, like, it's time to change. And, you know, we had a really good team meeting and just went through, like, hey, this is the diagnosis. Like what it is like the outside people think we're not making shots, and they think our offense is plundering, and like they're painting guys. Like, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, like our offense, we were scoring 71 points a game in the non-league. In the league, we're at 73. The non-league, we were 64 points a game defensively. Now we're 75. Okay, that's an 11-point jump. All right, so we're giving up 11 more points, and we're scoring 2 more points. All right, so you're 2 points better offensively, 11 points worse defensively. And at the end of the day, that's a -9 deal. And we have to understand, like, hey, look, -9, you know, that wins the Chattanooga game if you hold it to your average. BMI, you have a chance. You know, they had a pretty good second half lead on us, but we had to buy into it as a defensive issue or an offensive issue. And sometimes that's hard to do, you know, because you start missing shots and guys are playing you different, and you start getting bogged down in your offense. But fortunately for this team, the leadership of Ben, of PJ, of Nick, of Garrett, of Tyrese, of just saying, hey, look, we have to change how we're guarding, and we got to get back to who we are. And then all of a sudden, you know, you look up, and at Mercer we have career high field goal percentage, season high field goal percentage at Mercer. Tonight, you know, we shoot basically almost 50% from the floor, and that's going 29% from 3, and PJ going 3 for 14 overall. And we still go, you know, 53% in the second half. So, like, lose what you're focusing on offensively, and go out there and compete and go play to the values, and just let the rest of it take care of itself. And it's funny how the game rewards that.
Coach, my last question for you, if you wanna play for Coach Bob Ritchie, you better defend. And if you're a shooter, you better shoot. And for a new guy who didn't play very much, had to be a proud coaching moment when Tom Cost misses that 3 in the corner pretty badly. And then comes down next time and drains the next one.
Huge play.
And then Molnar gets, I think, the layup on the next possession. I think that was like, put you at 5. I think it was a crunch time of the game.
Well, we had a couple of those. We had House's miss, make, and then, man, we were up 3, and Ed makes a huge 3 in front of our bench to put us up 6. And so, you know, C and Tom and Ed both make huge shots in those critical moments. You know, look, that's what great teams have to have. You can't rely on one person. You can't rely on 2 people. You got to have a team. And, you know, that was part of us kind of coming to grips with, hey, look, we got to defend better, but me as a coach, I've got to trust the nine people that we played the majority of that non-conference. And we got to trust them. You know, like in Tom House goes to Macon, and at Mercer, he's, you know, plays 10 minutes, he's +9. And, you know, I thought tonight for him to come out there and play with that much spirit, that's been the good thing about seeing him the last couple of games. He's playing with so much more positive emotion. And I love the fact that he missed that one ball bad and then came around and shot that next one. And great shooters, you have to have that. You got to have an 0 for 0 mentality on every shot. And I love the fact that PJ missed and shot it again and missed again. Like, hey, like, everything's going to regress to the mean, right? So, like, just keep shooting. If they're great shots and we got great looks, we got to play this game with a tremendous amount of confidence. And this game requires confidence. You know, like, I tell our team all the time, you know, the best players in basketball typically have a confidence that just rides a little bit above their skill level. And that's typically, like, it gets too high, you get to arrogance, right? But, like, you gotta have a certain level of belief, and you gotta give yourself permission to go out there and play with that type of confidence. And that's when we're at our best. You know, it's look, everybody wants to be inspired right now, you know, but at the end of the day, sometimes in life you gotta inspire yourself. Like, you gotta be able to wake up and you gotta be like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna make something happen today. And that's a lot of times we're waiting on things to happen for us. But a lot of times in life, man, like you have to make a decision to go make something happen. And that's what this team, like I told them, like, hey, look, you know, we've got a lot of good players out here. You know, we don't just have two. It's not just PJ and Nick and then everybody else. Like Cooper Bowser was a player tonight. You know, Tom House makes a huge shot. How about Chuck Johnston coming in the minutes that he gave us, right? Like, probably should have gotten a few more in the second half, but Coop was playing so well, we kind of stayed with Coop. But I mean, Chuck is and one down there, like he's flying around with D. We really challenged him in his ball screen defense. He did a great job there, and I think that's what's made this team so fun to coach. Is like they have a unique care for one another, and we're in there celebrating, and everybody's going crazy and dancing and having a good time. And then Ed Bronson looks up and he says, "Hey, Coach, isn't that Garrett's 100th win?" You know, like that's the type of character we have in that locker room, that like in a moment like tonight, that the players knew that going into the game, right? Because they see the win walk in the locker room and they knew like, hey, this is 99 for him. He's got a chance to get to 100 wins. And, you know, I think that's the kind of care that these guys have had for each other. And it's fun to see them go out there and celebrate. It's fun to see them go out there and compete that hard. And it's just fun to see them, you know, growing through what's been a challenging couple of weeks. But let's be honest here. I mean, we're 17-5. Good gracious, you know, like I think we had 16 regular season wins all last year, and we won the one in the tournament to make it to 17. You know, we hadn't gotten to February yet, and we got more wins than we had last year, and this team had to kind of redefine itself and redefine, you know, what we're going to commit to the values and be what Furman's always been built on, and it's been neat to see these guys rewarded for that.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.